Good morning and welcome to Hope, Faith, and Joy Daily Devotion with me, Pastor Amanda. So today we are in Second Corinthians chapter 11, and we are taking a look at Paul's claim of foolishness. Of course, his foolishness is so that he can boast in Christ. And it's Paul's sarcastic way of taking his own stand to this. So, of course, Paul does not feel foolish, but he takes that claim so that he can make his point. He begins chapter 11. And remember, these are all fragments of other letters that we're getting here. So we're kind of in a new letter from yesterday. And he talks about how the Corinthian church is a bride of Christ, but not fully wedded yet. And this is a very old idea. The Hebrew Bible, the Hebrew scriptures, this idea that God and Jesus are the bridegroom and the church is the bride is a very long term. They really understand it, and the deep, deep love of God, of the church. And so, but what Paul is saying to the Corinthian church is, I think you are getting persuaded to go another way. You have not fully committed yourselves to Christ. You have not fully married Christ, but you're keeping your eyes open to other opportunities with the behavior that you are doing right now. And so Paul is concerned that they are, in a sense, falling away from Christ. And he begins to talk about these so-called super apostles that have come in to persuade them to believe in a different gospel. Now, Paul uses the term a different Jesus, but we're not aware of any other Jesus imposter walking around or anything like that. But what Paul's really talking about is their beliefs in a different kind of gospel. There's a lot of different ideas being taught at this point in time. This is a point where, prosperity gospel can be preached. And Paul is definitely not a prosperity gospel person. He definitely believes that experiencing suffering and pain is okay. In order to experience the gospel. So he's not trying to tell people, oh, because you have money, because you have health, you're being blessed. He doesn't believe that. There's Gnosticism that's going around right now. So there's this group of people who believe they have a secret knowledge from God. And so they're going around telling people that, you've got to come to understand the secret knowledge. There are Stoics who really believe in very little of anything. And so, there's different Jesuses or gospels that are being preached. And Paul is afraid that the Corinthian church is being persuaded by one of these other sects of teaching. And so he begins to talk about how he himself has humbled himself before God, that, they might call themselves apostles, and he'll say, I told you I haven't seen Christ the way those first apostles did, but I saw Christ in my own way, and just as real as anybody else. And so he then goes into another way of recognizing his gospel as the right and correct gospel, is that he didn't live off of the wealth of the Corinthians. He goes, these other apostles are coming in and then expecting you to pay them for everything and take care of them and support them. And Paul says, if you remember when I came to you, I didn't put that burden on you. I had my followers from Macedonia provide me with what I needed. If I did get into a tight spot, I never took advantage of anybody, never took more than just absolutely the bare minimum. And, he goes, so I have never used or abused your congregation. And that should be a sign that I'm truly the one. And so he kind of goes on, and he also kind of ends this section in verse about 15 that, in the end, their deeds are going to help us know whether they are or aren't. Just like he believes that his deeds will show whether he is or isn't. And so he kind of just tells them, be weary. Watch out. You've been with me a long time. You know me. And then you're so quickly looking to other, shiny things. So Paul then goes on and he brings up this sense that he is a fool again. I repeat, let no one think that I'm a fool, but if you do, then accept me as a fool so that I too may boast a little. Because remember, all things are foolish in the eyes of God. But he is able to boast in God through his foolishness, so to speak. And so he comes back to what is he able to boast about. And what we find is that he gives us actually a long list of suffering, of trials, of what he has endured. He says that, let's see, 5 times I have received from the Jews the 40 lashes minus 1. 3 times I was beaten with rods. Once I received a stoning. 3 times I was shipwrecked for a night and a day. I was adrift at sea on frequent journeys, in danger from rivers, dangers from bandits, dangers from my own people, danger from Gentiles, danger in the city, danger in the wilderness, danger at sea, danger from false brothers and sisters, in toils and hardships, through many sleepless nights, hungry and thirsty, often without food, cold and naked. And besides other things, I was under daily pressure because of my anxiety for all the churches. Who is weak? Am I not weak? Who is made to stumble? And am I not indignant? If I must boast, I will boast of the things that show my weakness. So again, Paul is sharing with us how, this journey is a hard one, but for him too, he's not telling the Corinthian church that they need to go through hardships. He's just explaining, you will experience hardships, and your hardships are nothing compared to what I've had to go through. And you can do this. Like, it's his way of encouraging them that, you got this, you can do this. And so he wants to encourage them that they can make this happen. And he then talks about, he kind of again returns to how has he been able to escape all of this. And he talks about a time that he was sent through a window in a basket to escape the hands of King Aretas in Damascus. And so, but it's that humility of, he didn't fight him. He didn't actually endure his full punishment in that sense. But his weakness is that he ran away. And, at the same time, we kind of see this sense where even though Paul's at a distance, he's not running away from the Corinthians. He's running to them, and he wants them to run to Christ. And so we kind of see that going on today. As I think about, what do I get out of this chapter today? I definitely get that it's so easy to be persuaded of what gospels are out there, and that we can easily find ourselves slowly going down a road that's not the true gospel. And it's very important for us to recognize that in ourselves and realign ourselves with Jesus's teachings at every step of the way. And so if there's any hope in that, we can see that Paul says you can do it, you can make it. There's no hardship too hard to come back to Christ. And so I offer you that for your hope, faith, and joy today. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you tomorrow.